We're going to talk Chelsea now, chaps, because great start to the season for them. Eden Hazard, the player so far of the last 2-3 games, he's made all but one, or had a hand in all but one of the games, of the goals that they've scored. And they've played fairly well, but you have a problem with Chelsea, don't you?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Well, first of all, I worry that Torres is the only recognised striker there. And obviously, we've already mentioned tonight that Sturridge would be the other natural striker. And obviously, he may well be out the door. So if something does happen, I'm wondering what is going to happen then. Also, they've had a little bit of luck. Okay, they have been good in stages. They went 2-0 up in 7 minutes against Wigan, and Wigan battered them for the next 80. Okay, but they still kept a clean sheet. Both down to good defending and wasteful chances. They then went and beat Reading 4-2. And 3 of the goals that Reading conceded that night were very unfortunate. The keeper chucked one in. Torres was 3 yards offside, and they got the 4th in the 93rd minute when a bit of naivety from McDermott sent the keeper up, which is no need to do that on the second game of the season. And they got an early lift on Saturday against Newcastle, but they've won 3 out of 3, so you've got to take your hat off to them.
Di Matteo's got a bit of a conundrum, really, because Torres has started off like a house on fire, and after all of the problems he's had, he looks to be back to the old Torres. The trouble is he does need, as Flash was saying, reinforcements, but if you bring them in, his temperament is so fragile, his confidence is so fragile, that he could feel dwarfed, as he did last season, by Didier Drogba. So what do you do if you're Robbie Di Matteo?
I think you get another striker in who is a forward who can play wide left and then come inside, I think, as well. So he could operate in both roles. I hear what you're saying, but if Fernando Torres is going to be a real success at Chelsea, then he's got to have the self-belief to overcome that sort of obstacle.
Yes.
It seems to me that Fernando Torres has got a new lease of life from this wonderful, wonderful supply line that he's now getting from Eden Hazard and Juan Mata. I mean, honestly...
That's working, isn't it?
Oh, it's superb. I mean, I'll tell you what, I've been lucky enough to see Chelsea's last 2 games, and let's be honest, sometimes in the past they've bored you to tears, haven't they? They have now become the great entertainers. I think I've fallen in love with Eden Hazard. I mean, I just think he's absolutely sensational. I'm going to send him a Valentine's card in February. Honestly, I just think he's beautiful to watch.
Well, let me stop you for
fabulous.
a second, because a lot of people starting to compare him to Zola and Cantona. Surely it's too early for that, isn't it? I mean, they've played Wigan, they've played Reading, and they've played Chelsea. It's too early. When they played City, I didn't see him unlocking any defences in that match.
No, it's early days, but you can't ask for anything more than a massive price tag on your head of £32 million.
But for the money they've spent from, you want to be getting the performances.
Oh, you do, but how many times?
From those teams?
Yeah, but again, the excuse is already there. Give him time. It's a new culture. He's hit the ground running. I was one of them that said 33 million was too much. But on what he's done so far, as an individual, he's been outstanding.
He has. 32 million quid, though, at that price. I'm sorry, but he's let himself down a bit because he hasn't been involved in all the goals. He's missed out on being involved in one of them. I mean, what do you get for 32 million quid these days? It's really poor value.
And he looks a lot stronger as well, by the way. He looks like he's been on a regime during the summer to get him. So it looks like he's left the coat hanger in the back of his shirt.
The interesting thing with Chelsea, I mean, I was at the press conference last weekend, and I asked Roberto Di Matteo about this whole idea that City and United are the favourites. Nobody's talking about Chelsea. And he said, well, look, we finished 25 points off the front 2 last season. Nobody in Premier League history has ever overtaken or basically pulled back that deficit. Yeah. So we are right not to be in the mix. But they are in the mix, aren't they?
No, I think they are. I didn't think they would be. I thought they'd struggle to finish top 4. In fact, I don't think I've got them in my top 4 that I predicted.
I've still not got them in my top 4.
But I think they have gone from being
because of what we said earlier.
You haven't got them in your top 4?
No, without a doubt, I've not got them in my top 4.
They've spent £80 million. Right. They've got one of the best players we've had in the Premier League for years.
Okay, they've spent £80 million, and we've just all sat here and said we fear for them if they don't go and buy another striker. Because if Torres goes, who's going to lead the line? They're going to have all loads of little can openers, but going to have no one to finish it off.
Rubbish! Come on, Flash.
Well, okay, I'll stand here.
Come on.
You're talking 3 games. They're top because they've played a game more, right? Yes, they've kept 2 clean sheets, and yes, they've won all 3 games. But you tell me in 15 games' time whether they're still your champion. They'll be the champions.
Yeah, I think they're super to watch. I think their one frailty is potentially defending, and particularly that will come from the guy being good enough to sit in front of the back four. Mikel was outstanding against Newcastle on Saturday, but I'm not sure whether... I just think that they've possibly got a soft centre. But going forward, Abramovich has finally achieved his dream.
He's got
They're
it.
beautiful
They play
to
wonderful
watch.
football.
I
mean, I'm not a
didn't-
Chelsea
didn't-
fan, but they're playing fantastic stuff.
I didn't think that they would. In fact, I didn't say. I said that they wouldn't finish top four in my predicted league.
And you've changed it already after 3 games?
I have. I might be jumping to the wrong conclusion.
Well, they've played Wigan and Reading, which you'd expect them to win
Yep.
anyway. And yes, it was a potential really hard game against Newcastle, I'll give you that. But let's give it another, say, 10 or 15 games and then start saying who's going to be in the top 4. Because at the moment, it's far too early.
I totally disagree with you.
Well, you think you can tell me?
Well, no, I'm just saying that, they've spent a fortune.
Yes.
So Abramovich would demand that Roberto Di Matteo is in the hunt for the title. His job will depend on it. You're not going to spend £80 million and not be in the hunt for the title.
So let me give you the worst
second
case
thing is they
scenario.
had the firepower behind Torres. They've got Torres who's back to his best. They've got a wonderful defence. They've got a fantastic keeper, arguably the best in the Premier League. And you're telling me that they can't consider themselves to be in the Premier League?
No, I don't think they're in the
That squad
race.
is every inch as good as Manchester United.
I don't think... We will wait and see. But I think at the moment that I would still want to see Chelsea over 10 or 15 games.
Crossy?
I think they'll be
He's changed
right
his
in the
mind
mix.
already.
Yeah, I think they'll be in the mix. I think the Manchester clubs will occupy the top 2 places, but I think that Chelsea will push them hard and potentially finish 3rd or higher.
I think
they'll
Arsenal
be
will
contenders
finish above Chelsea. I think
two
Arsenal
guesses.
will finish above Chelsea.
Our two